Coca-Cola's secret formula. How one mistake changed everything. In 1985, Coca-Cola decided so catastrophic that Americans hoarded cases of the original formula like it was liquid gold. Protests erupted in the streets. The company's hotline received 8,000 angry calls per day. Within 79 days, Coca-Cola did something almost unheard of in corporate history. They admitted defeat and brought back the original formula. But here's the twist. That mistake turned Coca-Cola into the most recognized brand on planet Earth. This is the story of how the biggest blunder in beverage history became the greatest marketing victory ever recorded. Let's go back to 1886. John Pemberton, a pharmacist in Atlanta, Georgia, is mixing ingredients in a brass kettle in his backyard. He's trying to create a headache remedy, but instead creates something far more valuable, a caramel-colored syrup that, when mixed with carbonated water, tastes unlike anything else. He calls it Coca-Cola. The name comes from two of its original ingredients, coca leaves and cola nuts. The original formula contained trace amounts of cocaine, perfectly legal at the time. Though, this was removed in 1903. But the real genius wasn't the formula. It was what happened next. Pemberton sold the rights to Asa Candler for just $2,300. Candler understood something revolutionary. Coca-Cola wasn't selling a drink, it was selling an experience. By 1895, Coca-Cola was being sold in every U.S. state. The secret formula, known as Merchandise 7X, was locked in a vault. Only two people knew it at any time, and they never traveled together. This mystery became part of the legend. By the 1950s, Coca-Cola dominated the world. Their advertising was everywhere. They'd even convinced people that Santa Claus wore red because of their branding. Coca-Cola was more than a beverage. It was American culture in a bottle. For 99 years, the formula remained unchanged. Coca-Cola's success seemed unstoppable. Then came the 1980s. Pepsi was winning. The Pepsi Challenge blind taste tests in shopping malls showed that people preferred Pepsi's sweeter taste. Coca-Cola's market share was hemorrhaging. For the first time in history, Pepsi was gaining ground in supermarkets. Roberto Goizueta, Coca-Cola's CEO, faced an impossible choice. The company had spent a century perfecting their brand around one unchangeable truth, the secret formula, but the data was undeniable. In taste test after taste test, people chose Pepsi, so Coca-Cola did something unthinkable. They decided to change the formula. For 4 years, the project was conducted in absolute secrecy. Code name: Project Kansas. They tested 200,000 people across 40 cities. The results were clear. People preferred the new, sweeter formula over both old Coke and Pepsi. On April 23, 1985, at a press conference in New York City, Coca-Cola announced they were changing the 99-year-old formula. The new product would be called New Coke. They thought they were making a smart, data-driven business decision. Instead, they triggered a cultural apocalypse. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Within 24 hours, Coca-Cola's hotline was flooded with complaints. People didn't just dislike New Coke, they felt personally betrayed. Loyal customers compared it to changing the American flag or rewriting the Constitution. In Seattle, a man named Gay Mullins founded Old Cola Drinkers of America and filed a class action lawsuit. Psychiatrists were brought on television to explain the public's grief and anger. Some people began hoarding cases of the original formula, with bottles selling for ridiculous prices on the black market. Fidel Castro called it proof of American capitalist decadence. Protesters in Atlanta carried signs reading, "We want the real thing." The media called it the marketing blunder of the century. By June 1985, Coca-Cola was receiving 8,000 angry calls every single day. The company's executives realized they had made a catastrophic miscalculation. They had forgotten the most important rule in business. People don't just buy products, they buy identity. Coca-Cola wasn't just a soft drink, it was nostalgia. It was childhood summers. It was America itself. On July 11, 1985, just 79 days after launching New Coke, the company held another press conference. Roberto Goizueta stood before the cameras and said something CEOs almost never say. "We have heard you." They were bringing back the original formula as Coca-Cola Classic. Here's where the story gets interesting. The return of Coca-Cola Classic triggered something nobody expected: a massive surge in sales. People who hadn't drunk Coke in years rushed to buy it. Market share didn't just recover, it skyrocketed. By the end of 1985, Coca-Cola Classic was outselling both New Coke and Pepsi. The company's stock price hit record highs. Coca-Cola had gone from crisis to triumph in less than 3 months. Some conspiracy theorists believe the whole thing was planned, that New Coke was deliberately created to fail, making people appreciate the original formula more. Company executives have always denied this, and the evidence suggests it's not true. The internal panic was too real, the financial risk too enormous. But intentional or not, the mistake had achieved something brilliant. It reminded people why they loved Coca-Cola in the first place. The controversy generated billions of dollars in free publicity. The brand became more valuable than ever. New Coke quietly disappeared from most markets by 1992, though it survived until 2002 under the name Coke 2. Today, it's remembered only as the catalyst for one of the greatest comebacks in business history. So what can we learn from Coca-Cola's incredible journey? Lesson 1. Data doesn't capture emotion. Coca-Cola had 200,000 taste tests, proving New Coke was better. But they couldn't measure nostalgia, tradition, or emotional connection. Sometimes the numbers miss what really matters. Lesson 2. Your brand isn't yours, it belongs to your customers. Coca-Cola thought they owned their formula. They learned that their customers felt ownership over it too. When you build something people love, they become stakeholders in its identity. Lesson 3. The best response to failure is speed and humility. Coca-Cola could have stubbornly defended New Coke. Instead, they listened, admitted the mistake, and reversed course in 79 days. That willingness to say, "We were wrong," turned disaster into redemption. Today, Coca-Cola is worth over $250 billion. Their products are sold in more than 200 countries. The original formula, the one they almost abandoned, remains one of the most valuable trade secrets in the world, still locked in a vault in Atlanta. The company now sells nearly 2 billion servings per day. That's roughly 25% of all beverages consumed on Earth. The New Coke crisis taught Coca-Cola that innovation isn't always about change. Sometimes it's about understanding what should never change. Some things become iconic precisely because they stay the same in a world that won't stop changing. In 1985, Coca-Cola executives thought they had to change to survive. Instead, they learned that their greatest strength was the one thing they had all along. A formula that people didn't just like, they loved it enough to fight for it. The next time you face a decision between innovation and tradition, remember, Coca-Cola's biggest mistake wasn't changing the formula. It was forgetting why people loved it in the first place. Sometimes the secret to moving forward is knowing what to leave untouched.